Hey everybody. So this is, I believe, our last video. So I hope that you have found this course helpful this semester. Um, and I hope that you'll also keep in touch with me as you finish up your time at UAS. It has been such a pleasure to work with all of you. And I'm really happy that I got the chance to teach you, even though it was somewhat untraditional, given these times and everything else. But I really do appreciate you signing on to take this class with me. And I will be cheering for you, and I hope to see you all again before you finish up your time at UES. All right, so today we have a few things to talk about. First of all, the assignment for this week. So last week you recorded your speeches and uploaded them to the Box folder. This week you'll find on Moodle that there are feedback forms. What you need to do this week is to choose 3 videos from your classmates, any 3 that you would like, and fill out an evaluation form for each of them. So you'll see on the Moodle site evaluation 1, evaluation 2, evaluation 3. So for evaluation 1, you'll choose someone's video, and within that evaluation, you'll tell me what the video is so I know which one you've chosen, and then you're going to provide some feedback. You're going to be looking for strengths, areas for improvement, memorable moments, things like that. So you'll do 3 of those for 3 different videos. And since I set both sections up in the same box, you can choose from either section of the course. And then at the end of this video, we'll talk about the final exam. But so that's your assignment for this week. But also, I wanted to give you a presentation and talk a little bit about interview skills. It's a really important part of communication, and it's a part of the professional process that really makes people nervous. So public speaking is one, and this is definitely the other. So let me share my screen, and we'll get started. Oh my goodness, I can never remember how you make this go. And you're all probably sitting there right now like, click there, click there. Is this it? Okay. Move my face a little bit. Oops. Oh, give it away before we even begin. Okay. Interview skills. Questions to expect, how to make an impression, and mistakes to avoid. So I've been teaching interview skills for many years now, mostly in the context of college admissions. Before I came to Furman, I did a camp every summer for rising seniors in high school to help them with the college admissions process. And as part of that, I would bring in speakers on interviews, and I would bring in folks from the community, not from colleges, from local companies, to do mock interviews with the students. So if you ever are interested in performing a mock interview, just let me know, and I can definitely get you set up with one of those. All right, so here we go, guys. The purpose of an interview. So I will be completely transparent and tell you that job interviews make me so nervous, at least in the past. I can remember going in for an early job interview, and I can't even tell you what I said. I was practically blacking out. I was so nauseous before I went in there. It's that whole idea of judgment, and I am not super sharp. Like, I'm not someone who gets the comeback right away, and I get nervous, and then I start talking a lot, even more than usual. So I was always so nervous in interviews. But when I started actually teaching others how to interview is when I got more confidence in the process, because I started thinking about what the purpose of an interview is. And then I myself started performing interviews. As a teacher, I performed admissions interviews at the school I worked at. And that gave me a lot of confidence too. I also served on the search committee at our school for head football coach. I love football, and the school knows this. And so I was on that search committee, so I got to interview candidates. And the more I sat on the other side of the table, the more I realized that I shouldn't be nervous sitting there as the interviewee. So the purpose of an interview, think about what the purpose is for you, like what you can accomplish in the interview. The interview is your chance to provide more detail on your experience and qualifications. If you have written on your resume a position and there's so much you want to say about it and you don't want to write it all down on the resume because we've talked about this, then this is your chance to really expound upon your resume and explain things. It's also an opportunity for you to showcase your personality, right? A lot of employers, when they're looking for employees, they're looking for personality too. They want to see how you're going to fit in the company, and they want to see sort of what your affect is. Are you someone who's very straightforward in this? Maybe that's a plus. Are you someone who is more reserved? Maybe that's a plus for the position. There's no right or wrong answer, but it gives you a chance to showcase who you are to the potential employer. As I said before, a chance for the employer to see how you would fit in the company, but also what you can contribute. So this is really a chance for you to brag about yourself. And I will say that a lot of people tell me how I don't like to brag about myself. I want to be humble, and that's wonderful. I love humility, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. You got to brag about yourself. This is the chance. You're selling yourself. So brag, go for it. Now, don't do it in any kind of like super haughty way, like, well, if I came in here, everything would be fit. No. But talk about your accomplishments. Talk about the things you're good at, right? You all have skills. You all have characteristics that are specific to you, that are special and that stand out from the crowd. That's what you want to focus on. So the interview is really an evaluation and an exchange of information. But above all, it provides an opportunity to showcase you. I have sat in interviews before. I remember sitting in one for the football coach position, and the candidate came in. He was wonderful, had the most wonderful personality. He took some notes while we were talking, which I was really impressed with. He had a lot of great ideas. He was wonderful, but he was not the right fit for us. We needed more experience. However, one of the other fellows on the team was the athletic director, or worked at Presbyterian College. And after the interview, he said, I'm going to call the athletic director down there at Presbyterian College and tell him that he needs to bring this guy in and talk to him about a position down there. And so even though that didn't work out for us, because he was so impressive, because he showcased himself, because he showed so much potential, even though he didn't have the experience we needed for a head football coach at the time, he still benefited from our interview because he made such an impression on us. All right, moving on. Interview questions to expect. Whenever I interview someone, the first thing I say is, well, tell me about yourself. When I work with students one-on-one, that's often what I'll say. When I used to work on college admissions pieces with students, the first thing I would say is, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me, what do I need to know about you, right? Now, we practice this at the very beginning of the course with the elevator speech, so you can just go with that. You don't want to sound too rehearsed, you know. I have been working in this industry for 15 years as this, that, and the other. I mean, you don't want to be quite like that, but that's the general idea, is the elevator speech, right? Tell them a little bit about you, what you've done, where you hope to go, right? Number one, you want to be memorable. Part of the idea of an interview is that you've made it this far, right? Your resume was impressive, but you're probably not the only person interviewing for the job. So how do you stand out? You don't stand out by saying things like, well, I'm really friendly, or I'm a hard worker. Hey, everyone's going to say that. Doesn't mean you can't say those things, but that's not what's going to be memorable, right? So maybe it's something unique about your background that got you interested in this field, a unique experience you've had professionally, something like that. But you want to be memorable. This question will likely come up. So this is one you must practice. You've got to have your elevator speech ready to go, and you've got to know what it is about you that makes you stand out. And if you have a hard time with that, then ask the people who know you best. Ask your current coworkers who you're friends with, ask your friends, ask your loved ones, and say, you know, what is it about me that you think would make me stand out? Sometimes it's easier to have other people tell you than to sit there and try to come up with it yourself, right? But basically the whole point of the question is, what separates you from the applicant pool? Why are you interested in working for a company? Right? But this question, you want to be really specific. You want to show that you've done your research, that you know, well, I saw that you were one of the top, one of the top growing companies in this region, or I saw that you're about to expand your company to internationally, and I'm fluent in Italian, and you know, whatever it is. but show that you've done your research and be really specific about why you want to work for the company. It shows that you've done some research in, sorry, into this, and you know what you're getting into. You want to highlight professional interests and not materialistic desires. Don't talk about money. I can imagine there might be some circumstances where that would be appropriate. I don't know what they are right now. You will know best, but generally speaking, don't talk about money. I want to make more money, or I've read that your employees are paid really well. They're not bringing people into the company out of charity because they really want other people to make money. They're interested in bringing people into the company that's going to grow the company or contribute to the company. So what specifically about this company distinguishes it from others you might be considering? And another way to think about this question is, why you at the company? So you'll talk about the company, but it's not all about buttering up the company. It's about talking about why you are a good fit for the company, why you think this company is a good fit for you. Okay, so the partnership, think about that. What can I tell you about our company or the position? So do have some questions prepared. This is often a question that comes up at the end. I used to always ask, as when I was interviewing for jobs, I would always say, what is it that you enjoy about working at this company? Or what is it that you think makes this company stand out? When I was interviewing for teaching jobs, I would ask, can you describe the typical disciplinary issues that you have in your classroom? Or what is the philosophy when it comes to standardized testing? Right, but have a couple prepared questions. Don't ask things that could easily be answered with a glance at the website. How long has this company been around? Okay, no. Or what are the primary products this company creates? No, right? Make sure you've done your research. Come up with probing, focused questions. If all else fails, still mine. What is it that you think? What is it that keeps you at this company? What is it that you like? Or where do you want to see the company in 5 years? You can ask these questions. It shows them that you're engaged. Who in your life has most influenced you? Sometimes you'll have an interview and they'll ask questions like this, and you might be sitting there thinking, why are you asking me this? Right? There's always a reason. Here, they're really asking about relationships and what you aspire to be. So who you choose is often a reflection of what you want to be and what you emulate. And so just make sure you're prepared for that question. You know, don't pick an answer because you think it's such a good one. I taught at a religious school for years, and I would always tell students, when someone asks this question, don't just say Jesus. If that's the absolute truth, then go for it. But a typical answer. Try not to pick a typical answer. All right. Moving on. What will you bring to this particular position? This is a chance for you to talk about your experience and your hard and soft skills. And what we mean by hard and soft skills, hard skills are skills you know how to do. Like, I'm proficient in Microsoft Office Suite and Google Suite and Workday. Soft skills are, I'm very organized, I'm an excellent communicator, I love to multitask, I thrive in a high-speed environment. Okay, so you want to have a mix of those when you're talking about what you're going to bring. Above all, they want to see passion and enthusiasm, that you want to do this job and work in this place and make things better. And to that effect, you can also talk about new ideas that you have. You know, like I said before, I see that you're considering expanding to whatever. Here's how I can contribute to that. Tell me about a challenge you overcame. So this is a chance for them to look at your problem-solving skills. You want to give examples and be specific. It can be professional or personal. Just remember, when you talk about your personal life, to be mindful and just careful in selecting that kind of story. But the key here is to give examples and specifics. You know, if I were answering this question, I mean, oh gosh, I can think of several. You know, I guess I'll just go back to what I used to say in my early teaching career. I would talk about discipline issues in the classroom and how I overcame that. And I would talk about that sort of helpless feeling, you know, when you realize that the class is sort of out of control, but you have to learn how to control one, and how I observed other teachers and I tried different strategies, and I'd be very specific about what the strategies were. So there you go. What do you like to do in your free time? So this is like a softball conversation starter, or like if there's sort of an awkward moment, but you want to come up with interesting and productive things. It shows that you're well-rounded, dedicated to additional interests, responsibilities. I love to read. So I would talk about that and how I've been expanding into nonfiction lately. I also love to do jigsaw puzzles because it just works with my desire to fix things and intricacies. You could talk about how you play on a neighborhood sports team. It doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that you have answers for the things that you enjoy. You can talk about being involved in your church. You can talk about community service if you like, but just anticipate that this might come up. What do you see yourself doing 10 years from now? So this shows that you think ahead and have long-term goals. And if there are multiple answers, go right ahead and say them. You know, I'm not exactly sure yet. You know, I've got a family and this and that and the other, but here's some things that I would like to accomplish. And so in 10 years, I see myself having accomplished one of these goals and looking forward to the next, you know, whatever it is. Oh, I said honestly, just answer honestly. And they want to see that you're honest, and they want to see that you have an open mind. Don't be super rigid in your goals. Well, I expect that when I am in this position in the next year, I'm going to do this. And then 3 years from now, I'm going to do that. And then by the end of 10 years, it's going to be great. There. That's not very flexible. Okay. Have your goals. Don't have a whole path, because we all know, right? Best laid plans. So just have sort of an idea of goals that you would have in 10 years. You don't have to have it all planned out, and you can have multiple ideas. For me, 10 years from now, I'd like to be a professional writer full time, and I'd like to be doing speaking circuits and have an online presence and have published a couple more novels at that point. That's what I would say. What is your biggest strength and weakness? Okay, this one almost always gets asked. It's just like almost required at this point for any kind of interview. Okay, so your strengths, you want to have examples ready. The mistake people make is they list their strengths, but you don't illustrate them. I mean, it's all well and good, but if you can't tell me why those are or how those strengths have been demonstrated, then we're missing out the most important part of the story. So, you know, I might say that one of my strengths is organization, and maybe I would use UES as an example, and how when the decision was made for the evaluation, I, the very next day, went out and made a plan to teach out all the students. And it had everyone's individual plan ready to go. Had to change that a bazillion times. So I'm flexible, but I'm very organized. Weaknesses, you don't have to turn it into a positive. You can, just be careful with it. I always said that my weakness was that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and so I take things very personally. When I receive criticism, it affects me emotionally, and I tend to get kind of down on myself about it. I'll take the criticism and I'll absolutely use it to my betterment, but I tend to take it too personally, and I'm working on that. I'm also someone who's very easily distracted. And so I really create a very intentional office space for myself, and I over-organize everything to help myself stay on focus. So what you want to do, you don't have to turn it into a positive, like, I take it really personally, but it just shows how much I care. Just tell us how you're working on it, okay? Just tell me how you're making it better. But choose wisely with the weaknesses. Recently, I was interviewing a candidate for a position, and the position was a very in the details, nitty-gritty position. And we asked what the weakness was. It was a group interview. There was a group interviewing the candidate. And the candidate responded, I don't really like to get into the weeds with things. I like to be up in the high level. I don't really like to get down into the minutia. And we're all like, that's what this whole job is, okay? So just be mindful when you're choosing. Everyone's got a weakness, so don't be afraid to say, but choose your weakness wisely. Yeah. Okay, here's some additional questions you might be asked. What do you do best? How do you define success? Not money. What makes you special? Describe your communication style. I always ask this question in an interview. I want to know. And what I'm getting at there is I want to know how you're going to deal with a dynamic inside of an office. Are you direct? Are you more of a listen first and then sort of process and then act? How do you organize multiple tasks? What do you contribute to a team dynamic? That's another one of my favorite ones. What do you bring? Megan, I would say that I bring the enthusiasm. I'm a high energy person, and that's what I bring to the dynamic. Oops, oh, a typo. You should also proofread everything. If you have 3 things to do right now, how do you prioritize them? I was asked this in an interview, actually when I interviewed for UES, and I thought, geez, that's a good question. And so, yeah, how do you prioritize? What's your philosophy of customer service? How do you deal with an agitated customer or coworker? How would your fellow coworkers describe you? And here's a problem we have, solve it. I was asked that as well when I interviewed for UES. There were a couple of things that I was asked to, like on the spot, what do you have to say about that? What would be your position? What do you think? So really look in and research, and I was prepared for them. So look in and research the company, research the position, and kind of have an idea of what might be changing so you're ready to talk about it. One I didn't put on here that I always ask at the end of the interview is there anything else about yourself that you want to tell us that you haven't had the chance to? That's because, you know, we go into interviews and there's always a few things that we really want to make sure we get to say.
I want to watch something on the TV.
Okay, just the 5-year-olds in here behind the Hamilton background. Okay, Jack. 1 sec. Jack, I'll be there in a minute. Let me finish this recording. Please go out with the dog because they're all listening to you right now. Okay, well, so now let's chase Jack out of the room.
No!
Oh my
No,
goodness.
Mommy!
Okay, so that's a question you can anticipate. If you've answered everything, then say, I don't think so. I really enjoyed this time. But if there's something else you want to say, that's your chance. Do it. Say, actually, I wanted to share a little bit about blah, 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 blah. Go for it. It's your chance. You don't want to walk out of here thinking, man, I wish I just had the chance to say this. Now, that's not to say if the interview's wrapping up, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Jack Coon. You also want to make sure you leave your children at home so that they don't come with you to the interview. Okay, 10 interview mistakes to avoid. Do not be late. You're done if you're late. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're done. Don't be underdressed. Now, don't be overdressed either. You don't need to be renting a tux for this, but just, you know, do your research, think about it, and be dressed appropriately. Don't talk too little, right? This is your chance to speak. Do it. Don't make a prepared speech. We talked about that. Don't chew gum. Don't have your phone on. I always recommend you just leave your phone in the car. Don't show disinterest, you know, sort of too cool for school. Don't speak poorly of previous managers. That's really important. Even if your previous manager was a jerk, don't do it because nobody wants to hire someone who's going to complain about them, even if that was justified. Don't fail to research the company or position so you know what you're talking about. Don't lie or fabricate the truth. Just be honest. Don't be rude. This happens sometimes. They just don't understand it. And if you're in a group interview, like as in it's you and 4 other candidates all together, you don't want to be dominating, right? You want to speak, but you don't want to be the person that speaks over everybody else because they're paying attention and they don't want that in their boardroom. Okay, here's your to-do list. Practice, rehearse, record yourself. And you want to record yourself because it's just like when you practice for a speech. You want to know what your pause words are. You want to know about your ums and your likes and your okays. And you can also hear how your answers sound this way too. And what you might need to elaborate on more. Go ahead and bring your resume with you to avoid standard interview questions. Perhaps include a photo on it if you have a professional photo. That way they'll remember you, and you want to make it like a cheerful one. I would also say something I used to do was I would bring a portfolio with me. When I was teaching, I would bring a portfolio that had sample lesson plans, sample syllabus, maybe a project idea or 2, letters of reference. I would have it all in there. I hardly ever had to use it, but it's nice to come prepared and then they see that you've shown up. I had a candidate come in with one of those for the football position and had handed out to all of us. It was very impressive. We were super impressed. Now, when you do that, make sure you proofread everything inside, have somebody else look over it and all that jazz, but that can be impressive. Let's see what else. Oh, review your social media. Oh, you guys. Okay, so I'm on the football coach search committee. We have these candidates. If I've told this story before, sorry, because this is like one of my big cautionary tales. And we had a candidate whose resume we reviewed. What we did is we went through all the resumes. We picked up ones we liked best. All of us had this resume in hand. And we're having a discussion about who we should bring in. And one of my fellow interviewers on the committee said, yeah, I gotta tell y'all, I did a social media search. It's a no. And the person had on their social media, it was about Jay Gilstrap with the Gilstrap Family Dealership. And he had described, and I'm sure he was joking, he had described in very graphic fashion the violence he wanted to impose upon Jay Gilstrap of the Gilstrap Family Dealership. And not exactly what I would like to expose our teenagers to. So that was it. We never even called him in. He never heard from us. That was it. Done. So check your social media. Recently, I was interviewing candidates, and the first thing I did was I went online and I checked all their social media. I went to their LinkedIn. On your LinkedIn, try to have a professional photo of some kind. You know, I have colleagues at Furman. Some of them have their professional photo that the Furman people took. I have a photo that I had a friend who's a photographer take of me just out at like an old mill, but it's professionally, looks kind of professional. Use portrait mode on your phone if you've got it. One of my colleagues at Furman has a picture of her in front of the Furman fountains with the Furman sweatshirt on, smiling. That's fine too. You just don't want, you know, you're wearing a flannel shirt and a baseball cap. Okay, so just be mindful. That's the impression that you're gonna give people. If you have social media and you post pictures like out on the lake, drinking your beers, in your swimsuits and stuff, you know, I think I'd make it private. Just think about, and this is just something you should do in life, I think, is to go through all of your media and just look back through it and think to yourself, what am I presenting to the world? And remember, when we talk about professional communications, that's communicating too. Every picture is a communication. You had an assignment at the beginning of the class where you had to look at an image and see how it contributed to the article. So just do a review of all that. Go back through Twitter, whatever it is, look at the comments that you've made. It's okay to have opinions, but just look at them with a discerning eye. So yeah, you want to give opinions in your interview. If you're asked for it, give it. You want to show your depth of knowledge. You want to have questions prepared. You want to use good eye contact, posture, and cadence in your speech. That means don't speak too quickly, don't speak too slowly. You know, sit up nice and straight. Don't like slouch back like, you know, we're just chilling here, smoking a cigar, having an interview. Don't do that. And a good handshake. All right, here's the deal, guys. I cannot bear a weak handshake. It's the worst. When someone comes out and holds their hand, I'm like, what am I supposed to kiss your ring? Like, what are we doing, right? A firm handshake. Okay? When you shake hands, you stand up, you shake hands, and you look the person in the eye. Stand, shake, look them in the eye, okay? And when I say firm handshake, I don't mean break them, but I mean grasp the hand. Don't be a weak handshake. A weak handshake really just suggests, I don't know, you're a doormat and people are gonna walk all over you, right? Firm handshake. There you go. Be respectful. Consider taking notes if you think that's appropriate in the moment. Be authentic and confident, not arrogant. And this is so important, send a thank you note, not optional. An email follow-up is fine. I prefer a handwritten thank you note. I have always sent a handwritten thank you note. I had a job, it was UES. When I came in to start, Beth had my thank you note pinned to her bulletin board that I had written, my handwritten thank you note. So yeah, do that. Consider the handwritten. Sorry, my child's just checking. Y'all, there's so much going on. I don't know how you guys are taking a class on top of all of this. Like, can I just have a moment? Y'all are rock stars because there is so much going on. Like, as I'm talking to you, I'm You know, we're working from home. My husband's trying to figure out, he's a teacher, what are they going to do? I've got 2 kids running around. One of them's at the dentist right now, like, and a dog. So you guys are awesome. There you go. But anyway, I'm a fan of a handwritten thank you note. When students would write me thank you notes for writing their college letters of recommendation, I kept them. I have a giant box of thank you notes. I kept all of them because there's something about holding the note in your hand and the time that someone takes to actually write it and put a stamp on it that means a little more than just a quick little thanks email. Now, if this is a super timely thing, I mean, we all know snail mail, so feel free. The email is better than nothing, right? If you have like the world's worst handwriting, you think it would actually be a detriment to send a handwritten thank you note, that's cool. Like, it's fine. I love getting an email too. I'm just happy when anybody thanks me for my time. It goes a long way. So just make sure that you send a follow-up to say thank you. Okay, here's what the questions, this is what this is all about. They're looking for self-awareness, positive feelings about yourself, your future, others, and questions that would fulfill this or what motivates you and makes you successful. And they're also looking for focus, right? So here's some other questions you might be asked. Everyone has things they would change. What would you do differently? And it's okay to say, you know what, there's nothing. Like I own all these things and I blah, 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 blah. Like you can say that if it's true. But I mean, everyone does have something that they would change, I think. Oh gosh, what would my answer be? Look how prepared I am, y'all. If I could change something, I probably would have, for sure, I would have double majored in college. I took an anthropology class my senior year of college, and I had a minor breakdown because I loved it. It is anthropology is everything that fascinates me. It's one of the reasons I majored in English, and one of the reasons I did was because, I mean, I like to learn about cultures and history and people, and then I discovered anthropology, and I'm like, well, dadgum, and it was too late. So wish I could have done that a little differently. A failure and what you learned, how you address conflicts with coworkers, right? Are you direct? Do you give people time? So, okay, that's that. All right, last thing today. Let me share again. Yeah, I do have the Hamilton set behind me today. We watched it on Disney Plus as a family, and it's time for me to watch it again. So I will not break in the song though, because nobody wants that. But I also liked that I was kind of in the spotlight in this one. Plus, it just looks like a cool set to run around on. All right, I'm distracted. See, I told you I'm easily distracted. Okay. Last but not least, your final exam's coming up. We're almost done. Isn't that crazy? I feel like we just started. You guys are probably like, yeah, I'm so glad we're almost done. The summer's so wild with these classes and how fast they happen. I would also really appreciate your feedback on the class, because I really wanted it to be humane and reasonable, and to give you some flexibility when you could complete your work. So if you have any suggestions though, please let me know so that I can do better going forward for other students. Okay, so for your final exam, it's due by midnight on August 6th. And so for your final exam, you're going to turn a couple of things. You're going to make a video of you making an oral presentation. So you completed your speech. Awesome, great. And that was sort of like your practice for the final exam. And so you have to use some type of visual aid in your presentation. It can be a PowerPoint, it can be a picture, it can be a short video clip, it can be a chart, whatever you like. And in addition, you'll turn a copy of your resume, just as it is right now, and a cover letter. Feel free to turn additional materials if applicable to your topic. So if you're going to make a plan and you would like to give me the plan, because if this were an actual interview, you would have that printed out for me in a portfolio, then awesome, you can turn that in as well if you'd like. What you'll need to do, and this is very important, in the box folder, create a folder that's labeled with your name. So in the box folder, create the folder Michelle Stiles. Or you can even label it, if you would like, the fabulous Michelle Stiles, or the fantastic Kevin Allen, or the amazing Carmelo Gambrell, like however you want to do it. and you'll put all of your materials in that folder. Okay, that way it's all in one place. Okay, so here are the topics that you can choose from. Number 1, personal presentation prepared for a job interview. Who are you? What do you have to offer? Right, so you can create the company and the position, and that will be your presentation. It will be basically like a one-sided interview, a presentation on you. Second, a major change you're proposing at your company. Third, you could do a presentation on customer service skills as if you were presenting it to all of us for us to learn. 4, dealing with difficult people. That could be a fun presentation, right? What are some strategies and the ways that we deal with difficult people, either at work or at home, or just in the world? Effective communication techniques. That's close to my heart, and hopefully a reflection of what you've learned this semester or during the summer. Teamwork and team building. Maybe this is your area of expertise. That's what you do. Like, you are the team player and you're going to tell us all how to do it. Time management, super important, and all of you clearly know how to do that because you are taking classes in the summer. Or you can pick your own topic related to your current position. And that's fine too. If you choose that one, why don't you just shoot me an email and say, hey, I think I want to do my presentation on this, just so I can make sure that I think that's a reasonable thing for you to do. The length of the presentation, really just, I wouldn't go any longer than 15 minutes unless you really need to. I don't really want to put a hard stop on it, but I would like it to last at least 5 minutes. You know, I think a thorough presentation would last longer than that, even probably closer to 10 at least. So you'll go in a box, you'll make a folder with your name on it. You will put inside your video of your presentation, your resume, your cover letter, anything else you want to give me, and I will grade that up for you. And then we're going to call it a day. Wild. All right, that's all I got for you today. I will, gosh, I would say I'm going to talk to you guys soon, but it might be the last video. So let me just conclude with this. I really have so much admiration for you guys. I mean, in honesty, you're all amazing people. You're all rock stars. It was hard enough for me to deal with college courses when I was 19 years old and had nothing else to focus on in life except for college, but I was also like a mess. So, and that was a struggle. College was a struggle bus for me in all different kinds of ways. I mean, I did well and I came out so much better on the other side, but it was a huge change for me. I grew up in a little farm town in Georgia, and I came to Furman and to Greenville, and that was so difficult. So I look at you guys and what you're doing. Many of you have jobs or families, or many of you are dealing with struggles. I mean, just being an adult in the world is hard. And I am just inspired by you. And I say that in all sincerity. Like, I am in awe of you. And when I was working at UES, just seeing your determination to do this and your passion for it and your drive, I mean, wow, what an honor it was to work at UES with you guys. And now I'm seeing you engage in this class, and I'm just so proud of you. And you should really be proud of yourselves, because it's not easy. Life isn't easy, but you guys are doing great. That said too, if I can ever do anything for you, you need a reference letter, or I don't know, you want me to look over your resume 6 months from now, or a cover letter, or you want me to do a mock interview with you, whatever you need, just always reach out. Please know that our relationship doesn't end when the class ends. I'm like sort of like that professor you get stuck with for life. So please keep in touch, and I will do the same. And I'm really proud of you guys. Great job. All right. See ya.